Hello everyone, I am back as promised, and I'm here to talk about being gender fluid, being non-binary, being me, Jay. And I realized in my last video I didn't even say my name. I'm Jay. I spell it just as the letter J, but also people don't accept that, so I spell it J-A-E. Because I don't want to be basic and spell it J-A-Y, like all of them boys. So I brought you here today to discuss being gender fluid and what that word means, what that means to me, how long I have identified as that, and yeah, I'm just gonna give like a brief overview of my story of coming out as gender fluid and figuring out that I'm gender fluid, and yeah. The story is pretty brief because I'm coming out now. Hi, I'm gender fluid. Welcome to my page. Yeah, I didn't know I was gender fluid until maybe 2 years ago. It's been a pretty recent discovery of mine. Gender fluid to me means that my gender is something that I can't really pin down. For someone who doesn't understand like anything outside of the binary of male and female, I like to explain gender as like a spectrum, because it really is. Imagine being extremely feminine and very female gender-wise on one side. Gender and sex are not the same thing, just for clarifying. And then male and masculine is on the other side. So if these two are opposites, in the middle is this like gray area of a combination, and then there's also just a lack of gender completely, and that would be non-binary or outside of the binary, or some people would call that agender. But yeah, that's a lot of words that I just threw at you, so we're just gonna take it slow here. But for me, as a gender fluid person, this spectrum scale is kind of just like teetering at all times. I don't really know what the frick is going on half the time. Gender for me is really confusing, and it's really about the confusion that makes me gender fluid, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not really in control of what's going on with my gender. It's just, it's what I'm feeling and how I feel and how I identify. And that's all it is. So my gender changes depending on time. I don't mean like every day or like every month. It's not like on a schedule or something. It just kind of over time slightly changes. This is different for every gender fluid person though, because some people don't even like fit they don't go the whole scale. They just have like part of a scale that they move between, or like, they don't move very much really. It's different for everyone. For me, I would say I'm like in the masculine, like leaning feminine kind of side of the scale, and I stay in that range. Some days I feel like a feminine boy, and some days I feel like a masculine girl, and some days I feel like neither, and some days I feel like all the gender, and I want all the gender. And yeah, I can be kind of selfish in that way, gender selfish, because I want all the gender. But that's how I've always felt. I always felt like being just a girl wasn't really enough for me. I am AFAB, which means assigned female at birth, and that just means that the doctor pulled me out and was like, hey, that looks like lady bits, and then I was a lady. And I am still, but I am more than just that. And that's what being gender fluid means to me. And being non-binary and, not fitting in just the male-female binary, I feel like I'm in this in-between a lot of the time. I don't really feel like I just fit to one end or the other. So for the majority of my life, I looked like a girl, and I was called she, her, and I was fine with that. I didn't really see a big issue about it. I was like, cool, I guess I'm a girl. that's me. And then that was like it. That was fine. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I was just told I was a girl, and you know, if I felt like I was sometimes, then that probably meant that I was. And other times I didn't feel like that, you know, what's that even supposed to mean? It was really confusing. I think that's part of what took me a while to like realize anything about my gender and learn anything about my gender. I had to like open up and admit to myself that I am capable of being more and that that's okay. And I didn't think, you know, I can't really be trans because I love being a girl sometimes, so I don't want to just be a man completely. But that is also not true, because trans, as you guys might know, is kind of like an umbrella term, and it just basically means that you don't identify completely with the gender that you were given at birth. And that's period, you know? You don't have to go through the whole surgery, the whole who's it, what's it, all of that, to be considered trans. It's really about your transition socially with other people. For me, I've always been like this. I've always been, I mean, and everyone else who's trans, they've always been like that. They've always been what they are, you know? I've always just, my gender's just been what it is. It's just confusing. It's just, it is what it is. I just go with the ride. I just roll with the waves. I'm a girl, but I'm also a man, but I'm also not, but I'm also both, but I'm also neither. And that's what's confusing to a lot of people, because suddenly it goes from like, it goes 0 to 60. It's like there's 2 genders, and then suddenly there's 1,000 million genders. There's like infinite genders in between in the scale. There's no like, oh, there's a dog outside. There's no real like number of genders, because everyone experiences gender differently. And that's like really concerning to some people, because we've been force-fed this idea that there's just 2 genders for a lot of people, at least in society. We've been force-fed that idea. And you know, it's over. We're done with that, okay? Move aside. There are more genders than just 2. We've been new, all right? But you guys are just trying to pull the wall over us. We see you. We see what's going on. There are more than 2 genders. So I should probably explain pronouns to you guys, because that's also kind of confusing with gender fluid people sometimes. I use all of them. I like all of them. I like being called dude, guy, bro, like he, him. Throw it at me, man. Like, I'm there. I really like being she, her, and I don't really mind being referred to as a girl. But I would say I really appreciate they, them pronouns. Just in general, like being introduced as that is probably the most comfortable for me, because it just shows everyone my identity right away. It's like I am non-binary, and that just makes me the most comfortable. But like, if you want to call me he, she after that, like that's totally fine. I have nothing against that. I just want everyone to know that I am not conforming to this binary, and I am fluid as heck. I am more fluid than the ocean. You can use any pronouns for me that you want. And I know maybe that's like, well, then what's the point? Why don't you just stick with she, her? But as I just stated, it makes me feel really euphoric when people recognize that I like other pronouns too. It makes me feel seen, it makes me feel noticed, and that's what matters with pronouns, and that's what matters with respecting people's pronouns. So there. I don't have to tell you one pronoun. I can say all, and that's just fine too. Hopefully this is a good explanation of what it means to be gender fluid. I don't think I covered everything, but I don't really know how I can. There's just so much that I could talk about. Like, it's just so complicated, and gender identity is so interesting to me and just so cool to explore. But yes, remember that gender expression and gender identity are not the same. I can express my gender completely different than how I am feeling at the time, how I am identifying, and that's okay too. It really doesn't matter. It's really not a big deal. Like, it's really not a big deal. It is what it is. I am the gender octopus. I am always changing and adapting and shifting about, and my gender is confusing, and I'm being thrown against the waves of gender fluid coming my way. Welcome to my octopus den. We only allow shellfish here. If you are not shellfish, you cannot join the club. Unsubscribe right away. Yeah, you won't make it here. You know, let's just keep things positive. Let's just keep it happy, and let's, nice comments. I would like to know your gender fluid story, if you have one. If you are thinking about coming out and you're not sure, if you are like struggling with it and you don't know about your identity and gender fluid is like a nice in between, that's totally okay too. It's totally fine. Just be who you want to be. Identify how you want to identify. If things change on the road, you never know. You never know. Don't think about it too hard. Just be yourself, and it will pan out. That is my lasting advice there. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I think next time I will make a video about just being non-binary, but I wanted to explain gender fluid first because I feel like it encapsulates my identity just so much and explains so much. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos about that. And stay awesome and creative. I will come out with more art videos soon too. I promise. I'm also an art channel, as you can see by my pens. And if you follow me on TikTok, you will see there is lots of art to be had. Lots of gay art, so please partake. Thank you, and have a wonderful day or night wherever the heck you are in this crazy blue world.